similar problem.
With Real Madrid, you cannot go, yeah, they got the win, but just. They got the win, but...
Adeyemi making his debut, the most expensive signing in the history of Real Madrid. What sort of impact did he make, in your opinion?
Man, Barcelona's great. Deco's the best thing since sliced bread. Lamine Yamal's the most grown-up teenager in the world.
While Moreno was getting hacked by some Russian idiot, he admitted that Real Madrid still have a lot of problems to fix after Jose Mourinho's dramatic La Liga debut. Then Barcelona absolutely destroyed Elche 5-0, and Moreno completely lost it. ESPN was blown away by this new Barcelona side featuring Gordon, Raphinha Adeyemi, Raphinha, and Fermin. But they also slammed Lamine Yamal after a photo of him went viral on social media.
There was a chance there for Kylian Mbappe early on in the second half, which he missed from my kind of range. But then after that, Real Madrid, while they had a lot of the ball and they seemed to be on the verge of creating something, they never really did create something that was significant enough. And really the goal, while it is a blockbuster finish in terms of the result, Dan, the goal itself is broken play, rebound. Oh, there it is, goal.
Yeah.
And so...
But this has definitely left more questions for Jose Mourinho to answer with regards to how he's going to set this team up to get the best out of those front three.
And let's not forget, towards the end of the first half, Espanyol have a chance by Roberto Fernandez, a header that is a tap-in that is somehow he misses it. And it could have been 2-0 and really should have been 2-1 for Espanyol, I should say. He misses that chance. Real Madrid comes out at halftime. You're thinking that there's going to be something better from Real Madrid, that there's going to be dominance. And while there was dominance, that didn't really translate into clear opportunities. And so in the case of Jose Mourinho, I suppose that you can kind of build in the excuse that, listen, you're working your team back into fitness, you're working your team back from the World Cup. We haven't really seen what his starting 11 is going to be on the field. But what I don't like or didn't like from Real Madrid today is that first 50 minutes, excellent. Everybody pressing, everybody running, hard work. And then once they go up, then they took a step back, which is something that they did so often last season. And that's the part that I think the attitude of Real Madrid has to change. And it didn't change today. It may change over time with Jose Mourinho, but it didn't change today because they decided to give the ball back to Espanyol and give them the initiative. That's unacceptable.
Look, we weren't going to see a completely different Real Madrid today.
No, of course we weren't.
Despite the personnel, despite Jose Mourinho on the bench, but there were similar problems, weren't there? Is that fair to say?
I think so.
We saw last season.
And I think what Ali's talking about is right as well, that there were periods last season when they were pressed high, and it was the ability to maintain that throughout a game, or the willingness to maintain it throughout a game, and I think we saw elements of that again. I don't think it's natural to, or I don't think it's unnatural for them to be faced by some of the same issues as last year. I think that issue of finding a way behind teams that play deep is going to be there, and that's partly why SB is there. But yeah, of course, these are issues that they have to work through, and we still have the question mark about the front three, the three superstars. How do you find the right places on the pitch for them to work well together?
And let's talk Vinicius Jr. We saw it a bit last season, his frustration coming out. Let's start off with the incident. Do you think it should have been a red card?
Man, it's a love tap. Yeah, he's down. It's a love tap. Yeah, he's down. He kicks him without the ball. I suppose you can make an argument for it, but I don't think it's enough for a red card. Now, it's significant in the match because Calatrava, the guy who kicks Vinny Jr., ends up being the guy who scores the goal, the game-tying goal for Espanyol in the first half. Regardless, I just think Vinny Jr., the one time that he was defending over here in the first half and he was in a 1v1 situation and the ball just kind of bounces off of him and goes out of bounds, he's already getting after the crowd. The crowd is getting after him, and I just don't see the value of it. I don't understand the purpose of it all, because then he's caught up in everything else other than playing the game. And when you're here live watching it, every single time he has a chance to react to the crowd, to react to the referee, to react to the opponent, he's doing it. And he forgets about the very basic thing that makes him a great player. React to the ball, react to the play, react to your teammates. He doesn't do that enough for me, or he didn't do that enough for me today. Bernardo Silva is a very good player, but he's a player that is not tactically disciplined because he wants to go and get on the ball, and because of that work rate on trying to go and get on the ball, as a central midfielder, you have to have the discipline to sit centrally. We saw him today, and I pointed it out to you many times while we were watching the game, Dan. He's over there drifting to the right. He's over here drifting here. He's over there drifting over there. And he's not in a central position, which then, to your point, it makes Fede Valverde have to cover 20, 30 yards at a time, in which then he gets himself out of position.
Adeyemi making his debut, the most expensive signing in the history of Real Madrid. What sort of impact did he make, in your opinion?
I suppose that we expect a lot when a guy like Jan Diomande comes in because of the numbers, because of what the transfer fee was. Then the first time that he touches the ball, he plays it backwards, and I'm like, look, I don't want somebody to go and play it backward. They're about to take a throw in, and he's pointing, hey, just play it back there. No, you get the ball. You, in a 1v1 situation, get after somebody. When he started doing that, he became more dangerous for Real Madrid. And Real Madrid, even if it was by rebounds, they were now creating more opportunities.
What in particular will Hansi Flick be happy with today?
I think the attitude of the group that came on the field to start the match, the leadership of Raphinha, I think he's going to enjoy what he saw out of Xavi Esparta on the left-hand side, even though this is more of a central midfielder player, but he's doing a job. And it allows him to then make decisions into the second half. And what he really is going to like is in the second half, the pressure remain, and those that came on the field even put that pressure even higher on Elche. You see the runs in behind from Anthony Gordon, the performance of Fermin Lopez. I thought that actually Pedri coming on the field, even though it comes because of the injury of Gavi, gave this team a presence in the midfield, gave this team rhythm in the midfield. And honestly, if you're looking to start a season, you want to see a lot of good things from your team. And what we saw from Barcelona today is a lot of good things, a lot of things that you can build on, a lot of things that are going to make Hansi Flick happy. And you don't have the same questions that you have from Real Madrid last night. After last night's match with Real Madrid, you kind of go, yeah, they got the win, but just. They got the win, but there are questions. They got the win, but I'm not sure that they have the answers just yet, and Jose Mourinho's got a lot of work to do. If you're Hansi Flick and you watch the performance, especially in the second half, you kind of go, yeah, we got this team lined up where we want it to be. It was a really good start of the season.
We talked a lot about Raphinha when he was injured last season and about how Barcelona aren't the same team without him. That demonstrated and then some today, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's a massive difference between a team with him and...
Imagine if you are upset and angry and frustrated in the first game of the season. Well, what happens when you get into November, into December, until the turn into the new year and things become a grind? And your team is winning, by the way. Your team is dominating. Your team is scoring goals. Just because you're not having the best match, it doesn't mean that now everything is just hard work and the shoulders are down. Didn't like the attitude. I did like the leadership of Raphinha, and I assume that conversation is going to continue into the locker room. It's not just here out on the field, and that conversation needs to be had with Lamine Yamal. It's like, listen, you're going to be critical to our success. We don't want any of that body language out there. We don't need any of this sulking out on the field. Do your job just like we're doing our job. We're running for you, run for us, and we're going to be successful together.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about you every single time. You don't have to have the spotlight. You don't have to be the best player. You don't have to pick up the best player of the game every single game. And sometimes we will need some runs. Sometimes you will need a little bit of intensity from you. It's not about you having the ball. It's not about you making the dribble, making the assist, or trying to score in goals. Today, it looked annoyed from the first minute. He was far away. He wasn't even involved. He wasn't tracking back. Barcelona had a few problems in that left side in the first 45 minutes because you got a player very quick and he wasn't tracking back. So, in the end, I think that Hansi Flick put him into the team to allow him to get rhythm of the competition, because he's another player like we've seen Pedri, we've seen other players who has been rested because they are not ready to compete for 90 minutes. And I think that the approach was totally wrong, take it wrong from his side. You have to come here, make a lot of efforts, because this is what you're going to use to the rest of the season. Because you didn't have a preseason. You're not going to have time to get ready, to have physicality but you're 18 and you think that you can cope with everything, and it's not true. Last part of the season from Lamine Yamal, it wasn't the best one. He got injured, so you have to think about that and start learning. That is a learning process. It's a moment for you to work, and the reward will come later.
By the way, the other thing is, talking about, as the boys were, Lamine Yamal, and the little huffiness and the shoulder shrugging and the body language, is that they've signed two tricky wingers, two fast wingers, that if Hansi Flick does want to show him a little lesson, shall we say, and manage the situation, he could leave him out. No, I'm not suggesting those two are not in the same sort of planet as Lamine Yamal when he's on form, but you don't want a scenario where you have the Vinny Jr scenario at Real Madrid leaking into a teenager who's pretty much won it all, but doesn't understand that there's a managing of a whole season, which is why half the players were on the bench, which is why he was taken off, which is why he may not start every game at the start of this season because of the World Cup, and he has to understand that. But more importantly, as brilliant as he's been, he needs to know that it's not all about him. And beefing up the squad, I think, is part of that. They've got Adeyemi, who wasn't brilliant, particularly in the first half, but got his goal, and Anthony Gordon come on. So they've got people that if Hansi Flick wants to say, do you know what? I just need to trim you down a little bit. Then he could do that with Lamine Yamal. Off the back of talking about Lamine Yamal as we were, being a little bit selfish today, and we've seen that before with this youngster at times, and Hansi Flick has managed it very, very well and will probably continue to do so. But I think what he said there was that he's prepared to play several positions, he's prepared to be the team player, and he's got, you know, that facet of his game that Hansi Flick likes. It's why they've brought the Adeyemis of this world and the Anthony Gordons, who are maybe not the most subtle of players, but they are fast, they work hard, they close down, and they're team players. And that's what has gotten Hansi Flick over the line in a lot of these, and the successful seasons that he's had. So, listen, it's been, as Gemma mentioned, 3 games in 8 days. He will get plenty of game time, but it's a really good start for him in terms of the league, for his confidence coming onto a game and making an impact.
While Real Madrid needed a miracle in the 90th minute to save Jose Mourinho from a disastrous debut, Barcelona came out and dominated from the start. We destroyed Elche 5-0. The whole world was impressed by the debut of Hansi Flick's new signings. And for the first time wearing the captain's armband in an official match, Raphinha decided to send a little Spider-Man message to Julian Alvarez, and especially to his son, who absolutely loves Spider-Man. Hansi Flick used Raphinha as the main attacking threat without a traditional number 9, and Raphinha responded with a statement performance. 2 goals, leadership, and personality. Just 13 minutes into the game, he won a penalty, stepped up to take it himself, and calmly sent the ball into the bottom left corner, giving the Elche goalkeeper absolutely no chance. Then came the moment that went viral, the Spider-Man celebration. A lot of people thought it was a message aimed at a certain number 9 Barcelona have been dreaming about signing. But the truth, according to Raphinha's own wife, is actually much sweeter. The celebration was simply a request from their young son. And honestly, that says a lot about Raphinha's mentality. He wants to score goals, help Barcelona win, and make his son and the fans smile again. Then, in the second half, he showed up again after a brilliant pass from Anthony Gordon. Raphinha is proving that he doesn't need to be some decorative false 9. In reality, he can be a genuine center forward, with pace, movement, depth, and a natural eye for goal. If he fully embraces this role, Barcelona may have just solved a problem the club has been trying to fix in the transfer market for months. And then there's Lamine Yamal. He already has 49 goals for Barcelona, just 1 away from reaching 50. And remember, we're talking about a kid who isn't even 20 years old yet. To put that into perspective, Lionel Messi didn't reach 50 goals until he was 21. Neymar, Rivaldo, Eto'o, some of the biggest legends in Barcelona history, took much longer to reach milestones like 100 goals. Lamine is flying through milestones that even the greatest legends of this club needed years to reach. Against Elche, he didn't score, but he was still decisive in his own way. Early in the game, he created Barcelona's best chance, nearly opening the scoring with a shot that just grazed the crossbar. He was also heavily involved in the play that led to Adeyemi's goal, combining with Raphinha to unlock the Elche defense. This isn't even close to the Lamine Yamal we know he can be. And honestly, you don't need to put too much pressure on him. Lamine will show up when Barcelona need him the most, especially during the toughest moments of the season. That said, he still needs to show more fight and intensity in every game. Respect the opponent, of course, but never underestimate them either. Because if everything goes according to plan, we're going to see plenty more of Lamine's best moments very soon. And then there was Karim Adeyemi. The German winger made his Barcelona debut as a starter on the left and wasted no time showing exactly why Flick trusted him. He worked hard defensively, helped out the backline, and looked surprisingly mature without the ball. But he also made an impact where it matters most. Goals. Adeyemi scored in his very first official game for Barcelona. After combining with Raphinha and Lamine, he found himself in the perfect position and calmly finished the chance, leaving the Elche goalkeeper with no chance. Think about that for a second. A German forward who had been criticized at Borussia Dortmund for lacking defensive intensity arrives at Barcelona, and in his very first official match, immediately shows commitment, tactical intelligence, and a goal. That's not luck, that's good scouting. Fermin Lopez did his part too. The midfielder scored twice in the game, once again showing why he's one of the most versatile players in the squad. He can play as a false 9, he knows how to find spaces between the lines, and he knows exactly when to make that run into the box. Very few players understand the movement of pulling away from the opposition's defenders, dropping deeper toward midfield, and creating space for the wingers to attack behind the defense. That's why Flick himself sees Fermin as a reliable option in the number 9 role alongside Dani Olmo. Fermin is exactly the kind of homegrown player every Barcelona fan dreams of seeing shine. Smart, opportunistic, and always willing to put the team first. And speaking of putting the team first, nobody showed the spirit of this squad better than Anthony Gordon. The Englishman came on in the 64th minute, and in just 7 minutes on the pitch, with only 2 touches, he delivered 2 brilliant assists. First, he set up Raphinha for his second goal. Then, just minutes later, Gordon had the perfect chance to score his first goal for Barcelona. It was a 2-on-1 counterattack. He was 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, and he could have easily gone for the finish. But instead, he chose to pass the ball to Fermin for his second assist. He could have been selfish. He chose to play for the team. And that, my friends, is pure Barcelona DNA. Gordon arrived for much less money than Jan Diomande, who has already become a meme on social media. And after just 7 minutes, Gordon already showed the kind of impact he could have throughout the season. Along with Adeyemi, he's proof that Barcelona doesn't need to spend astronomical amounts of money to bring in players who can make an immediate difference. Now, let's compare that with what's happening on the other side of the city. Real Madrid spent 125 million euros, and the deal could eventually reach 140 million, to sign the young Ivorian Jan Diomande from RB Leipzig. That makes him the most expensive signing in Real Madrid history, even surpassing the amount they paid for Jude Bellingham. And what did this massive investment look like in his debut against Espanyol? Diomande came on in the second half, played just over 30 minutes, and fans in Spain were not impressed with what they saw. Even Marica gave the youngster a 6 out of 10, and publicly criticized his constant attempts to take on defenders by himself, without creating any real danger or taking advantage of the spaces behind the defense. It was a frustrating, quiet debut, nowhere near what you would expect from Real Madrid's most expensive signing ever. Barcelona is sending a clear message to the rest of La Liga, and especially to their biggest rival. The future of Spanish football is being written in Barcelona, not Madrid, and the season has barely even started. Will Jan Diomande surprise the world? Subscribe to the channel and share this video with that friend of yours who would never stoop to hacking other people's channels, spamming them, or pulling all that garbage that hurts content creators in their hard work.